Show me the money.
Just looking good, but I think I'm taking too long.
Back to the spot for a Glock. I took a loss over floss, but still got a knock.
Money! Derry, does that make you feel good just to say that?
All right, show me the money. NFL picks for Week 15 here on the podcast. Just 4 weeks left in the regular season. Believe it or not, our Jets are still in the playoff hunt at this point. Joining me today to do the picks. Talked to him last week at the World Cup. He's back to do some picks. Martino Puccio is here. Martino, how are you?
Good. Just 2 more games left in the World Cup, and actually went by a lot faster than I wanted it to, and it's been top tier. It doesn't get better than it's been this tournament. Well,
the bright side is, they're having to start late because of the Qatar thing. That you have 2026 that much sooner.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of that too, and honestly, we're a year and a half away from Euro 2024, and then Copa America will be right here. There's so much, and then we just get right back into the club season. So no, it's a ton of fun, and qualifiers happen immediately. So the qualifiers as well, it's actually good international play. It's stuff that's actually interesting.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, let's talk about the Jets a little bit here, because last week the Jets went to Buffalo, fought hard, ended up losing the Bills 20-12. Some key injuries short circuited them in this game. Some key misplays. What was the big takeaway from the Jet Bill game?
Jets lost a game that they were supposed to lose, and I don't take away anything from Mike White, maybe a little bit, just more, he's a tougher guy, but I don't rate him more because of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's better because he got, hit incredibly hard and came back in the game and did okay. They're hurting at running back. It's so, you could like Zonovan Knight all you want. You could like Michael Carter all you want, but when their roles are magnified like this, it's going to hurt them. Their tight ends have been so subpar, to be honest with you. They've had their moments here and there, but it's not enough for them to take the next level. And the offensive line was terrible. I'll say that. The one thing that really disappointed me, offensive line terrible. Defense stepped up on the road against a really good offense, and they did their part. To be honest with you, I think they did enough. And then again, if we're really just gonna sit here and say the Jets should have done very well the past 2 games, everyone would have chalked them up as losses, and they weren't even bad losses either. To me, it was they lost to the team with the best record in the NFL. Then they went to one of the AFC favorites behind Kansas City, and they just lost barely, and they beat them when they faced them. And now they're coming in at this number just because Detroit's played a couple of good games. The Jets have been great all season long. What are we basing this off of? Williams just got back. If the Jets pass protection is as bad as it was last game, then I understand where this is coming from. But are they really going to play as bad as they did in Buffalo at home against the Lions? Lions have a good defensive line, but I think this is kind of greatly exaggerated. Yeah, on all fronts. Not even just the spread.
Yeah, you mentioned too. They lost 2 games. Everybody looking at these situations, say, going on the road against one of the NFC's best teams, against the top team in the AFC. You would have said, okay, if this is a team that struggles and gets themselves in trouble early, they lose big, that could happen. But the Jets end up losing both games in one possession. They fight back in these games. Not like the Giants across town, who played a team that was much better than the Eagles, got their asses completely handed to them.
The Giants have been fugazi from the start, and the season was more about questions than answers. One of the questions that I think is being answered is that they do have a head coach that's good. So Dable's done that, but look at all the question marks. Saquon, you can't sign him. You can't even tag him. Forget about just even what he's doing when he's on the field. Just he's not healthy again. The guy's still missing time. I'm sorry. That's what kind of gamble is worth that? Their wide receivers are still bad. Their tight ends, what? There's nothing of note. I'm sorry. Slayton is mediocre. And then Daniel Jones. Now you have to worry about paying him when it's a great quarterback draft and you just got your GM, you just got your head coach. Let him get their guy. What are they going to do with DJ here? Try and franchise tag DJ and trade him then. Maybe some team takes a gamble. I think the Giants are just something that it's a much deeper rooted issue than a lot of people want to admit. This isn't a 1 or 2 year turnaround. It's going to be something similar to what the Jets did. They have more like on paper, in general, had more talent than when the Jets had Joe Douglas first arrive. But Mike, I mean, come on, like they're nothing special. This was an overachieving first 10 weeks of the season, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean they still have path to the playoffs. The Jets do too. I mean, looking at it right now, they're 7-6. Last 4 games: home Detroit, home Jacksonville, at Seattle, at Miami. All 4 games they're capable of winning here, especially considering the struggles the Dolphins have had lately here. Like, what do you think the number is then to get to the playoffs? I think it's 10. They have to go 3-1 here over the next 4.
And yeah, I mean, let's see, because I want to see if my odds change. By the way, because I took us to make the playoffs a few weeks ago. I'm trying to remember. Sorry, my computer's being a bit slow, so I'll pull it up on my phone. But I've actually believed in them and their path. The only game I was truly worried about that I feel like they would have lost, that I was unsure about, is the away to Miami and probably Seattle, because of just how weirdly good Geno Smith is this year. So anyways, yeah, I took them to make the playoffs on November 9th. So this is over a month ago already that I did this. Yeah, I do like it, man. I think in a game when you play the Miami Dolphins, you tell me if you disagree. Wouldn't this be more pressure on Miami and Tua?
Oh yeah, especially when they're at home.
Like the Jets, to me, I feel like they're playing with house money. Seriously, what's the worst that people could say here? Like, they find out about their quarterbacks and they're ahead of schedule with the roster and the types of players that they drafted. And they say they messed up. They could just still try and get another quarterback. Like, there's guys in free agency. What the Jets have done here is built a foundation that's going to be the best roster since the 98 team, to be honest with you. If everyone comes back healthy and they still have some money to spend, that's up there with 1998's complete roster. I don't think the 09 or the 2010 team had as much talent on both sides like this. No way, right? Like, I don't think so. I think the guys on offense are way more talented. But yeah, like the Jets, to me, it's still house money. I think they're being undervalued with the Lions. I think the Jaguars game is going to be tough and intense. But I think they pull that out. The Seattle one is really the tricky one. The Seattle and Miami games are both road games. They've been a good road team all year. But is Seattle's still one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. And that's late into the season, and they're in the playoff hunt. So, yeah. But does Seattle worry you more? I don't know. I still think Miami terrifies me because that's just last week, playoff spot on the line. We've beaten them twice, or we beat them at home, but that was without Tua. How do we do against Tua? But
yeah, 2 things about that here. One, I think one of those 2 games is going to be Flex Sunday Football. I'm calling that right now. I do think both either Miami or Seattle, one of those 2 games will be in the Sunday night slide. I think that's going to happen. And thing number 2 here, if I like here, is that the Jets have done well this year and they play teams with suspect defenses. That the elite defenses need to shut them down because that's where not having the top flight quarterback really hurts you here. Yeah. But looking at Detroit, Jacksonville, Miami, Seattle, none of these are elite defenses. So this makes me very confident the Jets can find a way to go 3 out of 4 here.
I don't know. I feel like the run game is going to hurt them more than some people want to admit. And at that point, Mike White has to step up. I think he's just scary because he's a big question mark. They're not the worst performances in the world, but something about the red zone play worries me a little bit. And if we don't have great running backs, that's going to be tougher to punch that into the end zone. Just simply on how your defense can line up. You're a lot more confident of stopping Michael Carter and Zonovan Knight than you are of Breece Hall. It's worrisome. It is. I think Mike's got to just prove a lot on the line here. And then say we do lose, okay, against the Lions, and he plays really poorly. I think the question comes back again about Zach Wilson. Do I want Zach Wilson to? I don't know. But I think they have to make a decision soon on to say the rest of the season, this is our quarterback. This can't be I'm not saying that that they have alluded to or have not alluded to that. I think they need to put it firmly down, because like they did leave it open to interpretation that Zach could play quarterback again this season. And if you don't completely shut that down, then it still leaves that kind of controversy. I'm sure they know within the locker room, but that kind of sits uneasy with me.
Yeah, let's talk about this game here at the Lions here, because obviously right now coming in, this started out here, Jets favored by a point, quickly flipped to the Lions being favored. I think as high as 2.5, swung back the other way. Now the Jets laying the point here. I think this is, again, in case you made it several times here, I agree with you. I think the Jet body work's being undervalued here, and Detroit's recent hot streak being severely overvalued.
I think there has not been a better team to bet on. This is just like strictly trying to be unbiased than the Jets this season. I've taken them almost every single time to cover. I didn't this past week because I didn't like it. The last number I saw was like 6.5. I didn't trust them in the bad weather over there. But it moved to 9.5 at one point, but I didn't bite on that, unfortunately. I think we covered, honestly. Like Jared Goff is going to have to deal with our defense. Why is that not a talking point? You know, I don't care how his season's going. Our defense is probably one of the best he's going to be facing, and it's on the road. So we're just going to assume that Jared Goff is going to do this to us after they lost their starting tight end, when tight ends are an issue for us. It's easier for our defense to game plan now. Okay. So then what? This number is strictly about them thinking Detroit's front seven is going to roast Mike White. And I'm sorry, I just don't know why that's like a guaranteed thing to make this number so close. I don't get it. I think -1 Jets was a great bet to take, and +1 Jets was an even greater bet to take. I think it's bullshit, to be honest. I'm sorry to curse. I just think this is just classic, like, people aren't respecting the Jets here. And I also think the public is going against the Jets now too. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it certainly feels like it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of money on the Lions based on the fact that it swung so quickly and then it went back. And I'm sure a lot of sharps jumped on the Jets.
Yeah. I mean, I have not been that confident in a couple of the numbers this year, but this is by far the most.
Yeah, we'll get to the picks in a minute here. Speak to what happened in the pick channel last week. Our friend from Iona, Sandra Rose, was here last. She actually went 3-0 on her picks. She took the Rams getting to 6, the Eagles laying 6.5 against the Giants, 49ers laying 3.5 against the Broncos. So a perfect 3-0 week.
Go Sam, go.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not that lucky. I went 1-2. My one wing was on the Jets. I took them. I got in on the 9.5. So
okay. My friend did as well. I was very happy for him when the safety happened.
Yes, I got in on that one. I had the Chiefs laying. I was looking good for about a half, and they forgot to play football for 2 quarters, and I lost that one. And then I had the Dolphins laying a 3, and they laid an 8 in San Diego and LA against the Chargers. So 1-2 for me in the week.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, Miami. Oh man, what a narrative talking game that was, huh?
Oh yeah.
With Emmanuel Acho. Sorry.
Yep.
All right, you want to get into mine then?
Yeah, 1 second. Let's give you the reset for the year. The year the Challenger over 500, 21-21. I'm 17-25. I had a rough year, Martino.
We've all been there. It's okay. Plenty of ground to make up. There's that extra week for a reason.
Yep, there is. So we're gonna get started here. So we're gonna dive into the picks. So the guys, you can go first. Where are you going to pick number 1?
Pats over the Raiders. This -1 number is kind of puzzling to me. I think at this point, the Patriots defense has hit their stride, and Belichick versus Josh McDaniels is just a complete outmatch of each other. I don't care how well Josh knows everything. He's still not close to what Bill does, and it's always next man up for New England. And I think they had a great victory just last night, and I think they're ready to go again now.
Yeah, the thing that scares you about this number is fact it's being there's only -1 here, is that, yeah, the Patriots did lose Ramondre Stevenson, and the Raiders have been, feisty at times. You think they're not going to show up for a game, also they come out and win here. This is, for me, is a stay away.
I respect it. Do you want me to move on to the next one?
Sure, we're going to pick 2.
Man, oh man, oh man. This is it's so weird for me, but I think Jaguars plus 4.5. Something feels like this number for the Cowboys is just kind of hesitant because they were close last week, but I do think Jacksonville's a lot tougher than people want to admit. Trevor Lawrence has hit a stride recently, but I think this one's just going to be very close overall. This isn't about a team winning by 10 to me. I don't think the Jaguars win this, but I think they keep it close within 4.5. I'll take that with the way they're playing.
Yeah, and we saw last week how the Cowboys like to play with their food. That's with the Texans, where they let them hang around the entire game. And with the Eagle game lurking on the Saturday afterwards on Christmas Eve here, I could see Dallas again trying to look ahead to Philly and kind of forgetting to play for half a game.
I mean, listen, man, it's just at this point, I think they're fool's gold as well. I think the real team is the team that went into the Meadowlands and absolutely destroyed the Giants, which is kind of my segue to the next one. The Bears are just running out of steam here. Honestly, I think the best case scenario is just you hope Justin Fields doesn't get a terrifying injury. For me, Hurts has got to be MVP at this point. -9 is large. But when you kind of see the way Chicago is, I don't see this going well for them. I think they're totally disastrous.
Yeah, this one I was very tempted by. I did not want to touch the 9 on the road, which is why I didn't go there. But I don't blame you here because the Bear defense, we saw Mike White light them up. They're a joke. And Jalen Hurts can put up like 35 of them very easily.
Yeah, and again, you have Dallas in their rearview mirror. This isn't a locked-up division yet. This is a must-win game for the Eagles, and the Bears are one of the weaker teams that they'll be facing. So I really do like them here. I know 9 scares away a lot of people, but just like Kansas City's getting 14 despite what we just saw last week. So despite if it's Houston or not, the way they played and the way Houston were keeping within that game. I mean, listen, they easily could cover it because Mahomes is God, but listen, I mean, just the difference in between how the two teams have been playing, 5 points is a lot. So just the way the market is for a couple other teams here, I like it.
All right, you're on the board. I'm up now. Pick one. I'm going to take our Jets laying the point at home against the Lions for all the reasons we talked about earlier here. This is a spot where, again, Jared Goff, his 2 best defenses he played this year against the Cowboys and the Patriots. The Lions scored a combined 6 points. 5 teams they've beaten in this stretch here. The best one, the bunch, was besides Minnesota, was the Giants, who we described as fraudulent here. They have not beaten a lot of great competition here. And coming off that big emotional win at home, they go on the road. I see this being a spot where they lay an egg. I think the Jets win this game by a touchdown. Give me the Jets, pick one.
Yeah, listen, you said everything I basically said, but you were so much more angrier about it, and I love that. But yeah, you're right though. Every single point. It's just this is a spot that we know the Jets would let down in if they were the Lions, and the Lions are basically the Detroit Jets. So I see where you're coming from with that as well. I think the Lions let everybody down.
All right, pick 2. This line is very fishy based on the performance of these two teams of late, but I'm going to hammer the Bengals getting 3.5 in Tampa against the Buccaneers. This Buccaneer team is absolute garbage. They went on the road and got dominated by Brock Purdy last week. And this team is completely buried. The only reason they're alive is their division is trash. And Cincinnati is peaking right now. They are playing very well. They are trying to separate from Baltimore in the AFC North here. I think this line's too low. I think it's just the Tom Brady getting respect to home factor here. I think you look at the two teams, take the quarterbacks out here. Cincinnati's light years better than Tampa Bay, and I think this is going to be proven here. So give me the Bengals laying the 3.5 for the second pick.
Todd Bowles isn't a good coach, it turns out, huh?
Yeah, clearly not.
That's all I got on that, man. I hate Bowles.
All right, that's pick 2. Pick 3. This is one where I hate picking the Chargers. I think this is a perfect spot for the Chargers to get a Charger here. I'm going to take the Titans getting 3 points on the road in this game. Tennessee got embarrassed in Philly last week. But Philly's a much, much better team than the LA Chargers. I know they're healthy now, but Tennessee has this formula. They can run the football. LA has trouble stopping the run. That's a big issue. I think the Chargers also very high on themselves after that win. And they got this whole mojo about we're going to get in the playoffs. We're going to be the 7th seed. We're going to get Herbert there. I think the wheels come off the wagon a bit here. I think Tennessee bounces back. They got Jacksonville starting to breathe down their necks here. Pick up a big win. Give me the Titans getting 3 for the last pick of the week.
Yeah, man. Listen, I really respect Mike Vrabel like crazy. I think he's a phenomenal head coach. I think the Chargers are coming off a crazy high of a game. And also our Jets need this. So we definitely need the Titans to step it up here. 3 is definitely more than a fair number. I like that one.
All right, so to reset the picks here, Martino is going with the Pats, laying 1 in Vegas against the Raiders, getting those flex stats on Night Football. The Jaguars getting 4.5 at home against the Cowboys. The Eagles laying 9 in Chicago against the Bears. My picks, I am taking our New York Jets laying a point at home against the Detroit Lions. The Bengals laying 3.5 in Tampa against the Buccaneers. And the Titans getting 3 in Los Angeles against the Chargers. Those are your picks here for week number 15. And we are starting to wind it down. 3 weeks left in the season. I'm going to be joined next week by good friend of ours, Joe D'Aloisio, to do some picks for week 16.
Oh, Joe D's had an amazing football season. I'm sure of it.
And he gets to watch his team on Christmas.
Oh my God, he's gonna be such a Grinch, man. It's gonna be so funny. I know. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him because it's just they wasted another Hall of Fame quarterback the same exact way they did it before. So it's
crazy. Also, you look how garbage the NFL Christmas games are this year too. Between that Dolphin Packer game, Broncos Rams in the middle, and then Bucks Cardinals at night. Now that Kyler Murray's out for the season, the NFL really flunked this.
The NFL is not good at scheduling. I'm sorry. They're just not. And I mean that across the board. I don't think I've really liked a full slate on Thanksgiving in years. They're committed to too many garbage franchises. And it's nothing to do against the Cowboys. I think you always got to have the Cowboys. But why did the Lions have this? Why? We gotta take them out, man. It's like putting these Knicks teams on Christmas Day when they were clearly going for the lottery, like, and no young superstar. Like, enough of the nonsense. Like, get them out of here. Get some real games on TV. That's what's going to help you. And then also, like, the London games are also stupid. I think the NFL is really bad at scheduling, and people don't want to admit it.
Yeah, I think that my problem with the scheduling is not even just that. It's sort of like that they have this mentality like, oh, certain teams are going to be good. We're going to have to give you them all at once. Like, we got the Broncos 4 out of 6 weeks in prime time earlier in the year. We got the Colts, like 3 primetime games down the stretch. Patriots 4 weeks in a row. Can we spread these out a little bit? That way, if a team flunks, you're not stuck with them for like the entire like month of December.
I also don't understand why they assumed Russell would be that good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Russell attracts that many viewers on TV? I don't think so. I'm sorry. I just, Russell Wilson doesn't move me like that personality wise. But yeah, I mean, oh, well, poor Joe D.
Yeah, poor Joe D. And we'll wrap up here 2 soccer things I want to get your take on here. Number one, we talked last week about whether Greg Berhalter should be back as the U.S. Head coach for the 2026 cycle here. And this is before this whole controversy came out with the whole Gio Reyna thing. You want to get your take on that?
Yeah, so the Gio Reyna thing is basically a timeline of World Cup tournaments about to start. Greg Berhalter tells Gio Reyna that he is not going to be as much in his plans as Gio thought he would, which basically is an admission of his own incompetence as a manager, tactically. So that led Gio to being very frustrated. So after the first game against Wales, he just basically threw a hissy fit, poor attitude. I don't defend that. And threw his shin guards because he wasn't subbed on. Do I think that it was a horrendous sub by Greg Berhalter? Yes. Do I think Gio had the right to be mad? Absolutely. But should he have had that attitude? No, he should have just kept to himself. And then he apparently had a poor attitude in training, and that I also can't defend either. He hasn't done anything yet to warrant that, despite him being more talented than anyone on this team. And then again, if it was handled in-house, great, awesome. Handle it in-house. We saw him get more minutes in the knockout stage and then Iran. But then we're sitting here at the same time having to hear about it publicly. Why? Why was that brought up? And why was it by the manager? Why did the manager alienate and backstab one of his own players? Where the player now has to readdress it, not only within the dressing room and then publicly. So why is the manager supposed to be like this? This isn't the first time Berhalter has beef with players. And again, the board was voting on keeping Gio there. So it was 13-12 to keep Gio. And he was alluding to he was very close to being sent home. And Gio, to clarify, that's not true. And Greg Berhalter apparently had this policy saying that we deal with these things in-house. And then Greg clearly goes and alienates it and airs it out for the public. And people are making excuses. Oh, well, hey, like this was going to get out anyways. Who cares if it gets out? If it gets out anonymous, whatever. That's anonymous. But if someone like the manager is saying this publicly and then saying, oh, well, like I'm not going to say the guy's name, but I will literally describe him to a T. Like that's embarrassing. This kid is 19, 20 years old. Why would you want that type of friction? And then again, deserves to lose his job over strictly thinking that Gio shouldn't have had the minutes. We couldn't score. And we didn't want to put on our best attacking player. And we're putting MLS players on before him. No disrespect to the MLS or their players. There's a drastic difference playing in the UEFA Champions League and playing in the MLS. And one that is so clearly more talented than anyone else. Like, it's putting Quentin Grimes in the NBA Finals over RJ Barrett. It's that stupid. So yeah, that's the gist of it. Ultimately, I think Berhalter keeps his job for the time being. I think he has to have a really poor Copa America if he's managing by then, and also they get knocked out because it's going to be inexcusable at that point, considering what the standards are. He just met expectations, and they should have won in the situations they were in. To me, I'm not fond of him, and I think this World Cup exposed him. And if Team USA wants to take their heights to they want to get to new levels, new heights, they got to sack him. They got to get rid of him.
Yeah, you're not going to argue with me on that. And number two here, we're recording on Tuesday night after Croatia got knocked out by Argentina. Argentina gets the final here. Their opponents are either France, the defending champ, or Morocco, the Cinderella team of the tournament, who knocked out the Iberian Peninsula, Spain, and Portugal, and is the first African nation ever to reach the semifinals of the World Cup here. So is there a chance the run continues, or is France just too much for them?
I mean, listen, Morocco is the first team to not allow an open play goal this deep into the tournament since Italy. In 2006. So think about that. Like, an open play goal. It was an own goal. That's the only goal they've allowed in. Now they're going up against the best player in the world, one of the best attack left in the tournament. I don't think Morocco pull it off. I think France are that good. And also my prediction prior to the tournament was that of Argentina over France. So I want to look good here. Not unlike Brazil, who were pathetic, by the way. I will say it's going to be France versus Argentina.
Yeah, who would you think would win that game? Argentina?
I have to go with what I picked, but I mean, France is just the best, man. We'll see. They're also potentially missing Upamecano and Adrien Rabiot, so two starters. They've been sick apparently, so we'll see if they're able to start. If not, I think the real quality of France shines again. They have two incredible backups, but Morocco's no joke. If that game goes to penalties, man, Morocco's in favor there, and that's how that might have to get dragged out. But again, Kylian Mbappe, best in the world. But I gotta listen, man. Messi winning this is just like one of the most unique and all-time type of moments. If the way Messi were to win this is like Tiger winning the Masters just a couple years ago. That you didn't need any validation that he's the greatest that you've ever seen, but it just reaffirms it. And it's the ultimate prize, and it would mean so much to them. And I think that's and how incredible that was for Tiger. That's one of the all-time sports moments. That there are very few moments that top Tiger Woods winning the Masters in terms of emotion. Messi like this is like if LeBron James was drafted to the Chicago Bulls and struggled, got the media scrutiny like he did just to win his first ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that you're living in a shadow of a ghost, man. And to pull this off, he's the best player of the tournament besides Mbappe. Mbappe's in his prime or about to enter his prime. Messi's 35 and a half doing this. It's incredible. I don't know how much of the games you've watched or
I've watched a lot.
Yeah. But I meant strictly Argentina. Sorry. Yeah. So just Argentina, man, what he did today, that assist was, I'm sorry for rambling on this point, but it's stupid. It's the craziest thing to ever see because he was 16. It was like a God-given talent. And the kid just never stopped nonstop. And he hasn't he's aged amazing. There hasn't been a better player at the age of 35 ever. And that's arguably the case for him through age 16 to now. That's disgusting.
Yeah, it certainly is, Martino. Thanks all the time. Really appreciate it. If you want to keep up on social media so they can follow your coverage of the rest of the World Cup and beyond, how can I do that?
Yeah, you could just follow me at Martino Puccio. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram. That's also on TikTok as well. So appreciate all the follows and views that everyone gives me. And it's been fun talking on here again and getting back into the betting world of stuff because it's a lot more American sports from here on out for me.
Absolutely. Martino, thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it.
Take care, Mike.